Hello, everyone. This is a short recording of the material that we did not get to in class today. So we talked about the nutrition labels. There are claims that food companies can put on their packaging, and they are classified as to different types of claims. There are nutrient claims, health claims, and structure function claims. So what I want you to be able to do is to recognize these claims when you see them, because some of them are legitimate and there's a large body of research that backs them up, and some of them are not. So for example, the nutrient claims and the health claims are regulated by the FDA. The structure function claims are not. So let's look at some examples. So for example, if a food is designated as low fat, it has to have 3 grams or less of fat per serving. If it's fat free, it has to have less than 0.5 grams of fat. So it can still have fat, but just less than 0.5 grams. If it's low sodium, it has to have 140 milligrams or less. High fiber has 5 grams or more. So these are just some examples, but you can see that these are very, very specific. So if you look at table 1 in our text, you can see that this is very highly spelled out. So you can see that on the left there's the nutrient, there's the claim that's allowed to be made, and the meaning is very, very precise and very specific. So these kinds of nutrient claims are very trustworthy. You would know exactly what they are. If you wanted to look them up, you could go back to this table and you could look them up. So those are nutrient claims. What about health claims? There are some health claims and there are different degrees of confidence of the health claims. So in the past, health claims weren't allowed on food labels because that would classify the food as a drug. And I'm sure that you know that there's a very lengthy approval process that the FDA requires for drug approval. So most food manufacturers aren't interested in going through that approval process. So health claims weren't allowed. But as the relationship between diet and disease became more established, the FDA modified its policy and said, well, you can have some health claims, but the health claim has to be based on significant scientific agreement by qualified experts. So that's a very carefully worded statement. So the scientific agreement means that people have to agree and it has to be qualified experts. So this is what the health claims report card looks like. So the FDA category is over here. So if there's high scientific agreement, then a health claim can be made and a disclaimer is not needed. If the evidence isn't conclusive, they have to say that. There is scientific evidence supporting the claim, the evidence is not conclusive. If the evidence is limited and not conclusive, they have to say that. If there's little evidence, they have to say that. I have to say, in my experience of looking at food packages, and maybe just it's the foods that I'm eating, is that mostly I see the high scientific agreement where disclaimers aren't needed. So, so if it's a health claim, if there's a high scientific agreement, a disclaimer is not needed. So these are all A's in this table. So this is table point 2. So everything here is an A. So this is the disease or the health concern here. This is the nutrient, and this is an example of an approved claim statement. And these statements do not have to have any kind of disclaimer associated with them. So all of these are, there's a great deal of scientific agreement by qualified experts. No disclaimer needed. Okay, so let's look at these structure function claims. There are quite a lot of those out there. They're not regulated by the FDA. So structure function claims are not approved by the FDA. They are very carefully worded. So for example, calcium builds strong bones, or fiber maintains bowel regularity. Sometimes you'll see things like the word supports. So these claims have to be very carefully worded. They aren't those type A health claims. They're not approved by the FDA, and the product has to have a disclaimer that says the FDA has not evaluated this claim for truth or accuracy. Sometimes that claim is in really, really, really small font. It has to be there though. So these are structure function claims right here. So here's some organic milk. So that has DHA omega-3s. So this says supports brain health, or the chocolate. Reduces bad cholesterol, promotes healthy circulation, promotes a healthy heart. This vitamin E promotes cardiovascular and joint health. So you can see that the statements are very, very carefully worded. So somewhere, I got these images off the internet, but somewhere on this package there has to be something that says the FDA does not approve, has not approved of this statement. And those are called structure function claims. So what constitutes a healthful diet? So a lot of people made really great comments on Perusall about this. So this is really important for this class, the idea of nutrient density. So nutrient dense foods are low in calories, low in saturated fat, trans fat, sodium and sugar, and high in vitamins, minerals, and fiber. There are other foods that are high in calorie density, that are high in calories. They might be high in saturated or trans fat, or high in sugars, or maybe both, low in fiber. The manufacturers might have had vitamins and minerals added, but they're still high calorie dense foods. So how do you know which the nutrient dense foods are? It can be kind of difficult to find out. So I did learn about this. This is a new edition of our textbook, the Guiding Stars. I would admit that I have never paid attention to this, but apparently in the grocery store, those labels are right there. I've never paid attention. You can have 1, 2, or 3 stars. So the guiding star system, so this is pomegranate juice. This only has 1 star. This is a very large container of pomegranate juice, but juice is not as good as a whole fruit. So if they've just extracted the juice from the fruit and left the fiber behind, then that's not going to be as good as eating, this looks like pomegranate or mango, as having a whole pomegranate or a whole mango. So what foods are nutrient dense? Whole fruits and not fruit juices, whole vegetables, and again, not juices, high quality protein, beans, eggs, tofu, fish, skinless poultry, the skin is where a lot of the fat is, lean meats, unsalted nuts or nut butters, low fat dairy, milk, yogurt, and cheese, not the high fat versions, whole grains, so whole wheat bread, whole grain pasta, quinoa, brown rice are all high in fiber, and good fats. And again, even good fats have to be in moderation because all fats are high in calories. So olive and canola oil, fatty fish, avocado, and unsalted nuts. So these are the foods that are nutrient dense. So this is from the dietary guidelines of for Americans. So make half your grains whole. I actually try and make all my grains whole. So not white flour or white rice, but whole grains, whole wheat, brown rice, vegetables. So there are these phrases that make it easy to remember. So half your grains whole, vary your veggies, focus on fruits, and again, whole fruits, fresh or dried, not so much fruit juices. Dairy, get your calcium-rich foods, so the low-fat versions of dairy products, but also things like soy or rice beverages. Go lean with protein, the lean protein and not the either the processed meats or the meats that are high in fat. So in a day's worth of food, this looks like quite a lot of food to me, but what we have here is we have whole fruit, either fresh or dried, not juice, so fiber and no added sugar. The oatmeal has whole grains and it's not refined. The milk, you can't really tell from the picture, the milk is skim and not whole. If you have coffee or tea, as long as there's no sugar or milk in it, you can have all you want. The nuts on the oatmeal have small amounts of unsaturated fat, which is the good fat. In this lunch here, you have vegetables and whole fruit. Just a little bit of cheese gives you some protein and not too much saturated fat because there's not a lot of it. Walnuts and salad dressing provide unsaturated fat, and the hummus that you would eat with the red and yellow peppers also have unsaturated fat as well. So what you don't see here is you don't see grains. So it's fruits and vegetables, cheese, and things like hummus. But notice that there aren't any grains in this lunch. Here we have edamame and tofu, vegetables, brown rice, 2 small cookies, low-fat Greek yogurt. So here again, there's not a lot of grains in here, just a little bit of brown rice, and there are no potatoes. We love potatoes. So notice that this example diet did not have any potatoes. So this was in your book. So substitutions can make a diet more healthful. For example, if you took sort of a processed cereal and white toast and grape drink, it wouldn't be that difficult to have oatmeal instead of cereal, whole wheat toast instead of the white toast, and a more healthful juice drink like grapefruit juice instead of grape drink. So those are my references, and I will see you next time.